Today, it's your birthday. Yesterday was too, and so is tomorrow. Not sure what that means? Let us introduce you to this powerful concept and our community. We are Helene and Christina, and our mission is to teach, empower, and remind women to celebrate themselves. Not sure what we mean about that? Go back to episode 2 in season 1. Combined, we have over 35 years experience in private practice. It was in the office and in our personal relationships where we were hearing women struggling and not feeling alive or seen during their messy middle life stage.
We come to you not as your therapist, but rather two women in this life stage with you. Our podcast promises to talk about the hard or uncomfortable topics in a way to empower you, laugh along the way as part of healing, and find joy. What sets us apart? Why listen to us versus any of the other podcasts up there? Because we leave you with gifts each and every episode. These may come in the form of actionable tools or tips, invitations to say exactly where you are as well. So now that we're friends, let's make this official. Christina and I would absolutely love to help start your Thursday mornings. So make sure you follow the show wherever you're listening to us right now and sign up for our free newsletter at yourbirthdaypodcast.com to receive the episode in your inbox weekly.
We're thrilled you have joined. Now let's chat about the gifts that can be received when you know your relationship needs. Friends, we strongly encourage you to be curious about what you want, desire, or need from your relationship, and what things do you no longer want or need. In this episode, it can be both exciting and uncomfortable for some, and probably for us too. Rather than letting your brain do all the thinking, let's go ahead and dive in together. If you are listening to this, it tells us that you truly care about yourself and you care about your relationship. Know others that this may help when it's over. Go ahead and share it. Grab your drink of choice. I'm kind of juggling today, coffee and water. I'm both.
You're double fisting it on a Friday.
I am. It's Friday. Yeah. But there is no rum chata in my coffee. It's straight, like pure oat milk something. Anyway, totally diverged because that's my job. Let's explore what we want to learn about you and your relationship. This is going to be a really fun episode and a really hard episode.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, so today we're diving into something that can completely change how you love and how you let yourself feel loved, because you're going to get to know, hopefully, your relationship needs. So why does this matter, you might ask? Because knowing how you love and how you want to be loved equals deeper connection, less resentment, and more self-trust. And Christina and I are all about that. So if those things sound good, go ahead and turn up the volume. But before we dive in, Christina and I invite you to have a really honest reflection on yourself. Mm-hmm. So to really, really know and to explore what that is for you, you're going to have to drop the judgment and any criticism behind. So if you need to pause this for a moment, go ahead, take a breath, drop the judgment, drop the criticism, and then come back to us. All right, let's go. Before we start though, Christina, I want to share a story. I love this story, and I think it can kind of give a nuance of everything that we're talking about.
I'm ready.
Okay. So very early on in starting private practice, and I was young, and I had a patient that was referred to me. I go out to the waiting room to go get her. She looks up at me, and I say, "Hi, I'm Helene, come on back." She looks at me with this look. And she goes, "My doctor gave me 3 names and I picked yours because I thought your name was Helen and you would be really old." I know. And I think at that time I was 28. And I said, "Well, to a 5-year-old, I'm ancient. So you're here, I'm here. Why don't we come back, chat a little bit, and just see how this feels for both of us?" So she gets up, she comes back, and she said, "My husband's going to come back for a little bit. Is that okay?" Sure. So they come in, and after about 10 minutes, the husband says, "Okay, I'm going to leave. This is really for her." And I really think he just wanted to check me out and make sure where he was leaving his prized possession was okay. Because then what happened, and I tell this story to so many other couples that I see, he grabs her sweet little hands and he looks at her in her eyes and he says, "You were 14, I was 16. You're 89, I'm 91. You have to remember, you always have to tell me what you need, what you want from me, and I have to choose to stop and listen." And he gave her the sweetest little kiss on her forehead and left. So that safety was so beautiful. And I think that's the all encompassing of a little bit like what we're talking about, right? Like,
Oh my God.
I know. So
It
if you're
feels like
out
the
there,
end of like a Nicholas Sparks
oh,
movie book.
it was so beautiful. It was
Every
so
girl's
beautiful.
dream right there.
Yeah. And I just keep that couple with me. They've taught me so much about life and love and empowerment and trusting and inviting. So just imagine that little couple in addition to Christina and I sitting with you as we walk through this today. So I think that's a gift.
You know, it's so interesting. I'm the one who was like, hey, we need to do this topic. And I feel like I need to like give a caveat. This is not my expertise. This is 200% yours. Like Helene is an incredible marriage therapist. And I know that like we're not here to counsel, we're here to be friends and all of that. But this is really her expertise and she flies here.
Oh, well, I
And
don't think so,
I
but
did,
I get
I've had two new marriage counseling clients in my entire career. And both of them walked in already having attorneys. So I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And so I've never done marriage counseling. Now, after people like choose to uncouple and they have to like learn how to get along, maybe they have kids or for whatever reason, they just want to
right.
learn how to be friends. I'm really good at that. I don't do like parent coordination, but I'm really good at teaching people how to work together afterwards. But for some reason, I can't teach people how to work together in marriage. So I feel like I have to give that caveat. But yeah, I love that. And I think so much of my examples comes from people that I've watched do it well. Not perfect. Like none of us are perfect. Like no marriage is going to be perfect. No relationship is going to be perfect. No commitment is going to be perfect. And
Mhm.
like we are always evolving and learning.
I
And
hope.
so what I loved in our intro is that we talked about A, no judgment, and B, like learning what you need now. What you need now might not have been what you needed 5 years ago, 10 years ago. What you need now might not be what you need in 5, 10 years from now. Like it is a present moment thing.
I love that. And I think that's the part that gets a lot of people tripped up, that they're supposed to know, or oftentimes I will hear, well, they should just know. They should just know.
Yeah.
And if you live in that space, which again is very common, it ties right back into what Christina said, that whether you've been with your partner 1 year, 5 years, 20 years, or this beautiful couple who is almost 75 years, if you allow yourself to be curious and explore what you want and
Mm-hmm.
allow your partner to be curious, because the beautiful thing about your partner saying, I don't know what you want now, it's actually an invitation for them to experience you teaching them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it that way, hopefully it could feel safer and calmer. And it's not coming at you that they don't care. Instead, they're leaning into curiosity and they're asking you to have like that word that you and I love, that agency. What is it that you want? So that's why that's so important. And that we're going to talk a little bit about like, what are your relationship needs and how to break them down because there can be so many different kinds, right?
Well, and I think as women, like a lot of times we don't feel like we can have needs in relationships. Like we have to give, give, give.
Right.
And that is so toxic. So toxic. Like we have needs, we have rights to have needs, It's similar to how I'm always saying, like, you have a seat at that table. Like, wherever you are, you belong at that table. And I would say the same in your relationship. Like, you belong, and this person cares about you if it's a healthy relationship. And
Yes.
so they need you to have a voice.
Right. Because they can't figure it out without you. And even
No.
if you were in that season of, wow, when we first came together, I knew what I wanted. And maybe I actually don't know right now. Go back to some of our episodes about the gift of confidence, of
Yeah.
getting in connection with that and saying, part of me loves that you're asking, what is it that I need or want now? And part of it, it's an, oh shit, I'm scared because maybe I don't know.
Hmm. And I would say, even if you're single right now, you absolutely, like, if you are single, you need this episode just as bad as somebody is who's in a relationship,
Yes.
because you've got to do the work on yourself. Like, Helene and I can both tell you, we've had probably hundreds of people who walked through our office that didn't do this work and then got into another relationship and they're freaking repeating history. Like, just different body.
Right.
I always say same personality, different size dick. Uh, but it totally is. It totally is. And now I just embarrassed Helene. Yes. But it's true. I
Talk
mean,
about it, mic drop moment. If you listen to the introduction while you were pouring your coffee, we just gave you one.
right? You might have just added a little more cream, shall I say? Oh, but yes, I mean, it's so gross to say that, but it's so true. Like, if you don't do your work on yourself,
Right.
you will repeat history, whether you're repeating your parents' relationship, whether you're repeating a toxic relationship you had, whether you're repeating a toxic relationship you observed, like, whatever it is. And it doesn't, you know what, friends, I'm going to say this right now. It doesn't matter if you are in a heterosexual relationship or a homosexual relationship or an asexual relationship. It does not matter. You will repeat history if you have not worked on your stuff.
And you're gonna right because you're showing up as that only version of who you know. And if you
Mm-hmm.
allow yourself to go inward and to explore, you might attract or you might be attracted to very different people
Mm-hmm.
because of your energy
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So knowing who you are and what your relationship needs, you walk in more confident and able to express that,
Mm-hmm.
which invites the connection.
Mm-hmm.
Now, relationship needs can be very different. I think if you think about it,
From
right?
wants, you mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think needs and wants can be very different.
Oh, talk about that if you can.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that, like, we intrinsically need, which, when I look at, like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So if we look at that from a relationship standpoint, like, there's basic things that we need that equals security. And then wants are, once those needs can be met, we can go to the higher level, which is, and I want this.
Right. And sometimes how I will describe it, because, I'm not a visual person. If you think about a house, a lot of times I will say, for many people, not all, if the concrete of their house,
Mm-hmm.
right? So maybe those are some of your needs, like your non negotiables, trust,
Yeah.
loyalty, honesty,
Mm-hmm.
healthy communication. So when your foundation, which is a little bit like your moral compass, when you know your needs, what are your non-negotiable, that creates that safety. And then I think about like the aesthetics or the things that might be able to be changed, your wants.
Mm-hmm.
It might change a little bit over time.
Yeah. So I want you to give us a little bit of wisdom. Friends, if you don't know, we're actually recording this on Helene's 27th anniversary with Ryan, which is really cool, right? Like, that's going strong. And we're counting on 27 plus more years. And I have to just share too, like, Helene and Ryan together are so stinking cute. And their dynamic when we play pickleball is really, really fun, which I'm not going to go into all the details because it would be like a whole episode. But like both Ethan and I walked out playing pickleball and we were like, they are adorable together. Like just adorable. Like there's just a great dynamic between the two of you of just really knowing each other. So tell me if you can, both from a personal perspective and from a professional perspective, what do you see as like essential needs that people consistently bring into the office or you've noticed in your own marriage or marriages that you model? Maybe this lovely couple, like what was essential needs?
Oh, top of head. On the top of my head comes like safety, security, and healthy communication and
And
trust.
wouldn't you say
But
that that's different for everybody? Like what equals safety is different for
I
everybody?
was just gonna say, and I don't mean safety in terms of violence. I mean that of course, that's a non, yes.
Yes, like that's not
But
even an option. If
so
you
the
weren't invited in that
two,
relationship, run,
yes,
get out. It is not okay. And yet you've got to do it in a way that you can do it safely. Like, friend,
absolutely.
we completely get that. And we're not telling you to just pack your shit right now and go. We're telling you if you need to calculate it and do it in a way that you can do so safely, we get you.
I think two things that consistently come up in like working with couples and even like within my like just knowing people and friendships and during life stages, it's just allow yourself to be vulnerable
Mm.
within yourself, creating that space that your partner can, which invites curiosity and connection, and that you can trust the process. Even if you're scared, you can trust it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and I also love the word curious because, like you said, I am definitely, so I met my husband like the age that my son is now, which is like really crazy to think about.
Right.
And who I was at 21, and then who, when we got married at 26, and then when we had my daughter, and then when, my son, like, I love that I'm different, but yet there's certain things about me that are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say he's more the same, and I think the parts about him that are the same that I love and cherish is, he is amazing at like going hard in lots of areas of life. Like throughout life, I've allowed myself to really, the things that I struggle with is like balancing. Like I'll
Mm-hmm.
do go hard to go home sometimes, or when I'm wound up in like type A, like I just see how he works brutally hard, plays brutally hard, rests brutally hard. Like he does balancing so much better than me. And I love that I get to watch that. I have to remind myself that sometimes the areas that I need to struggle with, if I allow myself to just sit back and watch, like I have an amazing person in front of me that if I allow myself to just have connection of just view it, I may not do it the same way, but they can teach me. And I find that a
Yeah.
lot with my couples that they may have a partner that has a piece in them that might be better developed, more highly committed, more in place. And I say, if you allow yourself to just watch them, you can learn and be
Mm-hmm.
grateful to have that. So that was a very complicated answer for a very short.
No, I love that. I think what I also love, like standing on the outside and watching your marriage, is that Ryan is like very, very grounded. Like
Yeah.
he's got a strong sense of self and he doesn't get flustered. Like he might get frustrated with something, but he still like has this uncanny ability to stay strong, right?
He
And
does.
you sprinkle in like the fun, excitement, like curiousness, like Helene in true Jewish form questions everything, which is great.
Yes.
And it keeps Ryan on his toes, which is so funny. It's just fun to watch the two of you. You've got a great dynamic. It's
And I think
really fun.
we've changed places over the years, and yet there's still parts of us that like we're still the same. But yeah, and for someone who is not in my line of work, that groundingness that sometimes when if I'm a little bit like getting untethered of not feeling sure, I'll ask him a question. It's not that his responsibility or he has to have a know-it-all, but he just has this really incredible knowing
Yeah.
about people or situations, and it just creates a calm for me. So when I go back to that safety, that if I ask him something and he just has this incredible sense of knowing, it creates safety for me because it goes back to I allow myself to ask the question and I trust the process.
I love that. And I think you've really worked on understanding what your needs are and articulating on them. Like Ryan knows your needs because you have verbalized and communicated them. And you know Ryan's needs because he has verbalized and articulated them. And I think, one of the things that stood out to me is when we first started doing this podcast, Ryan was doing all our editing, which was like a ton of flipping work. And especially because we were in the beginning. And so, like, we each had like 50 edits every single time, poor Ryan. And at one point, like, he was able to articulate and say, y'all need to hire somebody. And instead of like saying to him, oh, we can't afford it, like, da da da, we're low budget, we said, of course, because you came to me and said, we need to hire somebody. And you like instantly honored that boundary. And I think that's what builds trust. Like, if we can honor each other's boundaries, like, trust is huge. I think this goes back to how many couples do we have like spying on each other's phones? And I just like, if you can't trust that person, you need to understand what it is about you or what it is about this relationship that does not feel safe to you.
I love that you said that, right? Because it may not be anything that they've done. It may just bump into your shit. And here's the thing I will tell couples a lot is that if we're doing work together, what I think you're going to end up feeling is that at times it's going to feel like bumper cars from Disney World. Because as you get to know your partner, as you get to know yourself, something within you might get bumped up. Your shit just gets bumped. And rather than getting defensive or deflective, if you could take it as a gift of an opportunity that I have a piece of myself to explore.
And learn about.
I love what you said, that if there's a piece of you that doesn't feel safe, it's also recognizing, look inward, not saying that's not something outward, but allow yourself to check both, I think is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah. And, or if you have somebody that, when you attempt to bring things to them, it turns into a shit show. And all of a sudden you're arguing, like, you're not going to feel safe to bring things. And then we go down the road of like lying and deceiving and keeping secrets because we don't feel safe. So, or you're with a partner that doesn't do that, but you had a childhood experience that anytime you did bring it, your parents exploded. So now you're behaving that way. I mean, that's what I would say. So, like, reflect on yourself. And, similar to that couple who came in when he said, you were 14, I was 16, you're 87, I'm 91. I mean, so much happened in those 75 years, right? And I mean, they have essentially grown up together and had to work through this stuff. And here's what I would say, there is times in your relationship too where you don't feel 100% safe. And that may be because something triggered you or there's been something that evolved in your relationship that's uncomfortable and you're needing to work through. I mean, I'm not telling you that if you don't feel safe in this moment, run unless there's violence, friends. If there's domestic violence, you got to get out. Like, this episode is not for you to figure out how to repair. You got to go. That's what I would say. So I want to make that clear. But we're talking about relationships that are healthy. We're just imperfect humans and we're having to work and evolve. So I think that's huge. And I think really listening to your own needs and wants. If you are somebody who really thrives off affection and that fills your cup, then you need to communicate that and not feel awkward. And I think I slowly see women evolving and realizing that feeling like they have sexual attraction or physical touch or those things, like, it's okay for women to feel that.
Yes.
I love seeing that evolve because
Well,
women
you
have
are
been taught.
feeling it. I think I just want to say you are feeling it. You may or may not. I mean, there might be parts of you that aren't allowing it, but if you are feeling it, it's just honoring it and allowing it to have the space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's normal and expected.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes. And normalizing because we've been taught not to.
Right.
And, we're to suppress that and we're supposed to be proper. And I'm here to call bullshit on all of that. Like, if physical affection is a big part of your needs, you need to be with somebody who gives you that. And you need to communicate that. You can't hide it. And in the same thing, if you are somebody who needs like space and your alone time, and that's something you need, like you can be both.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to communicate that. Like, I need downtime for me. So, and that's a big one for me. Like, I essentially grew up as an only child. And so, with that, like, I need me time. And a car ride home isn't enough. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
would say.
Right.
So, I will sometimes stay up late and go to another room, or I will go for a walk early in the morning without anybody. Or like sometimes I just stay at the office and work late because I just need time where nobody else is around me. And like that's something that I came from the instant we started like seriously dating. And I was like, FYI, I
Mm-hmm.
need me time. And Ethan is extroverted and like constantly needs to be around people, which is awesome.
And
And it can't always be me.
right, you need to learn how to navigate it. So I think when you allow yourself to explore, like, what are your relationship needs, then it comes to being vulnerable and
Mhm.
trusting the process. So I
Mhm.
love what you said. It's like saying to your partner, you know what I've recognized about myself is that when I get hugs and you squeeze me, when we snuggle at night, I get butterflies. I'm really, really enjoying it. And I'm hoping that we can do more of that. So it's allowing yourself to say it, or, got like tons going on in our crazy busy life. We have 3 kids and they all have activities, and you have a job and I have a job. And when I'm recognizing at this stage, I need about 20 minutes, 30 minutes of quiet time. And it
Mhm.
doesn't mean I don't want to be with you. It doesn't mean that I enjoy the kids. What I'm telling you is that when I go for a walk or if I take that bubble bath, that the version of me that comes out afterwards will be the version of the woman that I want to celebrate and I want the 3 or 4 of you to experience.
Yeah.
So it's inviting them into the process and owning it for yourself unapologetically. You don't have to apologize for it. Just take it
Mm.
and then have the conversation of how to make it work. Because the more you muzzle yourself, you're denying that it's your birthday moment.
And you're modeling it for those around you. Like
Talk more about that.
so an example is like I in the winter
Yes.
go for walks on my treadmill because it can be sub-zero here. But in the summer, I take the dogs and we go outside or spring, fall, whatever. And my kids will say, like, I will say, I need a walk. I'll be back. And they're like, yeah, you're nicer when you walk. And it's true.
Right.
And
Right.
and my daughter said it once and her eyes like popped out of her head. And I was like, truth. I go, absolute truth. You're right.
Right.
And I said, it's what I need to reset my brain. And I said, again, I gave her the example. I said, I grew up essentially as an only child. It was me and Grandpa Mormore. And so I said, look, sister, there's times that I need to unplug, reset me, and I can come back. And walking the dogs does that for me, or hopping on my treadmill does that for me.
And this conversation doesn't necessarily just have to be within an intimate relationship,
Right.
because what you just shared reminds me, as you guys know, I was in an amazing group practice for about 12 years. And when the last person joined the group and we were getting together outside of the office and maybe having dinners, and I remember one time she was like, you guys are all, I mean, she said it lovingly. She goes, there's a lot of energy, right? So here's 5 therapists, half of us are Long Island Jews. Like, there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of history. And she's like, I love you guys. And this energy is fun. And I want to get to know you guys more, but it's a lot. And she was an only child, an
Mm-hmm.
only grandchild on one side of her family. And you know what she said? She said, we need a talking stick. She said, this is too much for me to take in, and I don't want to not be here. So, of course, you got 4 or 5 therapists. What is it that you need? We want you to stay. We want to get to know you. She's like, we're going to have a talking stick. And I have some couples that need to do that, that when they
Mm-hmm.
truly want to get heard, if they have the courage, or even at a family, if you have a family or at a dinner meal and everyone's talking above each other and that one person is fighting to get heard or doesn't know how to, then having a little bit like an instrument of saying, you know what, I recognize I give away the space for me to share.
Yeah.
I recognize I don't have the capacity or the knowing or the confidence right now to tell you I'm not done. But I think if I have like a little stick, whether it's a drumstick or something fun, if I'm holding this, I'm inviting you to listen. And then when I'm done, I'm going to give it to you. And then if you have something, I'm going to listen. And it helps give a little bit of like that modeling and that boundary barrier to be able to do that. So it can be with girlfriends, it could be with your partner, it could be in your house. So it's recognizing your relationship needs in all areas of your life.
Well, and I love that because that is that open communication, right? That we've created a safe space for open communication where I'm able to express my wants and needs and you're able to express yours. And we might have to do a go back and forth, which is beautiful. But it's listening. Like we said, and Helene said at the beginning, like throw your judgment out the door. Like I literally envisioned a garbage can where judgment just popped right in there. Close the lid, walk away from it. And so, like, sometimes it's creating that vision with your partner of saying, look, we need to have a judgment free conversation. And so we both need to take that judgment part of our brain and toss it in the garbage and come together to
I
talk.
love that. I love that.
Because we're going to have a hard conversation and it's easy to go into protective stance. But if we can come at it with an open mind and listening ears, one of the things Ethan always says is we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And so I love
Very
that
right.
because,
Well,
yeah, it's true. Like we need to listen more than we talk. Although on this podcast, I do all the talking, I feel like. But anyway, and Helene and I talk, we joke all the time that it's like we're a married couple, like learning how to navigate each other because
yeah.
this is my first business and your first business of having a business partner.
Yes.
And so this has been a whole new dynamic for us. Yeah, which takes us back to our conversation with Aaron of what that was like. But I think, and then it's figuring out what are your shared values and goals. And I think that goes back to the wisdom Julie said that annually on their anniversary, they come together and have
That
those
was a great gift.
conversations.
So in case people go back, listen to the gift of no children with Julie, because it was awesome.
Yeah.
But can you sprinkle in that gift that she gave us again?
Okay. If I remember correctly, she
Okay.
had said, that on their anniversary, like they tend to go out to dinner. And then, she says, kind of, what are your relationship goals for this year? And, Zach talks about him, she talks about him. And then they kind of set themselves up for this next year of marriage. And I just love that. And I think you need to have that conversation regularly. Ethan and I just did it surrounding, like, I guess I shouldn't say just, like maybe 3 months ago. Yeah, I guess it was like January. Like that is something we do in January. Not a New Year's resolution because, I hate them. But in every January, we say, what are our financial goals for this year?
Yes.
And then, like, here's mine, here's yours. And what's so weird is like all these years later, we're really like on that same page, which is really nice.
It's beautiful.
It is. It is. I think because we've like morphed into each other.
I think it could be fun if you do a little bit of what Julie and Zach do. If you have that conversation on your anniversary, if you write it down and then you like look at it as years pass. I had a
Right.
couple come in
Oh,
a
I
couple
love that.
years ago, and they gifted me this beautiful like lens into their life. They had been together for about 15 years. And for them, they took a picture of them as a couple and they had all of them and they showed me. And it was just so beautiful, like how their family grew and then like their first house and the dog. And it was just this beautiful testament of on this date for them, they were going to honor that space and take a picture of it. And then it sounds like Julie and Zach do something very similar.
I love that. And I
Yeah.
literally just wrote
It was very
a
sweet.
post-it note of saying,
Annual goals on anniversary, write down, see how evolve.
yeah, I love
What a
that.
gift.
See,
But
I already got a gift and we're the ones podcasting.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You know, the other thing I was thinking of
I'll have to take a
is
picture tonight at dinner that we're going to do that.
one thing I loved that I had put on my wants, not needs, but I really wanted someone who came from a big family because I had grown up as essentially an only child and I had cousins and, but I just wanted a big family. And Ethan brought to the table a big family, like big family. I love it. He's got one aunt, two uncles, and with that came two, four, his four cousins, but then, his two sisters. So anyway, it was a lot.
Right.
And I love that. But at the same time, sometimes I get overwhelmed. And one of the things I love, and I know Uncle Harvey listens, so Uncle Harvey, I'm shouting out to you.
Right.
And he adores Helene. They've got this Jewish connection. But what I love is Uncle Harvey's wife Sylvia has taught me so much about navigating this big family that when I first arrived was very uncomfortable and unfamiliar to me. And what she does is she will take breaks. Like there's the family like plans lots and lots of things together when they're together. Like it's nonstop like planning, we're going to go eat here, we're going to go eat here, we're going to do this activity, we're going to do that activity. And Sylvia will just quietly bow out of some things and go do alone time. And when I first started with Ethan, I like went to everything because I thought like that's what I'm supposed to do. And then I just found that I was getting so overstimulated and frustrated and overwhelmed because it was just too much to take in. And now I've learned from observing her of like I partake in a lot of it, but there's times where I just don't. So I honestly like I schedule to work some during there, so I have a reason to not attend everything. And Cohen family, I love you. That isn't it. It's just my need is that I need some space and I need some me time to reset. That's just like quiet, not a ton of people. And that's about me because I didn't grow up with this.
Right.
And so it's still, even 20 years later of us being together, it's still somewhat unfamiliar. It's not my norm. And so I love it, but I also need breaks from it.
So it sounds like, and Sylvia, you, and also Ryan, like in knowing your relationship needs from having different experiences, you've allowed yourself to check in what
Hmm.
fits with me, what may be overwhelming or too much, having that aha moment and the confidence to express it either to your partner or to yourself. Like a couple of years ago, a lot of my cousins who are like my age, my contemporaries, we all got together for Thanksgiving like 3 years ago. And my husband loves my family. He adores my cousins. He knows why it means so much to me. And we were all together, and there was like 28 of us. And I went outside for a moment. He was out there, and I'm like, "You good?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "It's just a lot." He goes, "I just need a moment." So I come back in. I'm like, stay as out, hang out outside as long as you want. If you need anything, just like text me or come back in. So I go to my couple of my cousins, and they're like, "Hey, where's Ryan?" I'm like, "He's outside." I'm like, "Says we're a lot." And one of them were like, "We're a fucking lot." Like, like, yes, this is a lot. And like three of them went out there with him. Like,
Yeah,
it, that's the trust piece, right?
right.
It's trusting. And Sylvia trusted that she listened, I'm assuming, or recognized maybe that signal inside of her body of what she needed. She trusted that there would be safety within the connection of the relationships
Hmm.
and that she would honor what she would need and still be loved through it. And then you did that and Ryan did it. So it all comes back to what we're talking about. When you know your relationship needs, you allow yourself to be curious and listen inward. You
Yeah.
trust the process that you can share it or do it. That vulnerability, whether it's not accepted, you own it. And it allows you to be the person that you want to be within that relationship, just like you taking your walking time, listening
Hmm.
to what I need, trusting the process, communicating it, gets you in
Hmm.
connection of how you want to be and allowing it to be okay. Sometimes people are not going to understand it, and they
Right.
don't have to.
No. And I think it's really spending that time with yourself to ask, like, when do I feel most loved? Like, when
Mm,
do I feel
boring.
secure and loved and cherished. And, you know, the other thing is there's a reason you have past relationships. Like they didn't work out. And I always say dating is good. Like dating is trying a person on to see if they fit, like trying clothes on in a dressing room. Like that's the beautiful thing about it. And sometimes it's like a clothes rental service that you keep them on for a couple months and then are like, no, this doesn't work, or years. And then other times it's like, dude, one date I'm out. Like you put it on in the dressing room and you're like, hell no. So, you know, it's really understanding like what did I lack, either me personally or this relationship in previous relationships that I need. Like what was lacking, either in myself that maybe I need to evolve and change and mature, or in the relationship or with that other person, whatever. And then understand, you know, understand your hard feelings that happened in that past relationship, the anger, the resentment, the withdrawal, the anxiety. Like what was it?
Right. And like you said, honor it, because that needs to be healed so you don't take it into the next relationship.
Exactly. Which goes back to my crass phrase that I said and embarrassed the shit out of Helene. And so, you know, we are here to encourage you. If you need to do your own therapy, if you need marital therapy, if you need self reflection, you know, the other big thing that we haven't really touched on, and maybe we probably need to do a whole episode on, is attachment styles. Like attachment, this goes back to our attachment as children, our attachment with other relationships like peers, siblings, all of it.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to do that work of understanding what your attachment needs are. And then I think when you can work through those needs, you're going to create an incredibly deep connection with that other person.
Right. Because it's already been grown within yourself.
Yeah. And I firmly believe all those answers are within you. And when we go to therapy, it's to have somebody ask the questions that kind of are the key to opening that box in us. That little gift box, but we can't figure out how to open it. And then the therapist asks the questions, and we're like, oh, yeah. Uh huh. And it just comes sprinkling out of us.
Right. When you know your own needs, like you said, it builds that connection.
Mm-hmm.
You have stronger relationships. And it, you know, there's a couple of people who I see, and whenever we're working through something, like it always comes back to vulnerability and trust. And they're like, it's the V and T word again. I'm like, but it keeps coming back to that. But when you know your relationship needs and you own it, you trust yourself. So when I trust myself, you can say, I matter. My needs matter, which is that confidence. And then you choose to give the extension to allow that other person, if you're choosing, to know them, because
Mm-hmm.
it exists within yourself.
Right. Yeah. And I think as you know you matter, it can change the conflict into collaboration because you come to the table realizing you deserve a seat and you realize your partner deserves a seat and the two of you need to sit and talk.
Right. And I will
You
give you
learn both of your self-worth.
a huge thing that I'll have to draw a picture. Maybe we can put it online. So Dr. Russell, who was in our private practice, her husband was also a therapist. And I remember when he talked about couples work, and again, this could even be with friendships. It's like if you imagine three circles, like there's the one circle, and then there's one on the right of the circle and one on the left of the circle. And the little bit of each circle is in that middle circle, meaning you have your autonomous self, like you honor your needs, you allow yourself to be curious. And when you do, you can give to the couple. So knowing your needs is profoundly needed for healthy coupling or friendship. Like if you know your needs, you bring more and you can advocate and get your needs met in a friendship.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a triple Venn diagram.
It is. Thank you.
Yeah. It totally is. I love that. And so I really want our listeners to take a pause. Maybe you pause podcast, maybe you finish listening to it and then you give yourself time. But we really want you to take a moment to explore what are your 5 non-negotiable needs? Like what are 5 things that are like, look, I must have this. I
Right.
must
Like
have this.
seat of your floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then work on saying it. either you say it to yourself in the mirror so you build your confidence, you say it to somebody you really, really trust. I just worked through this with a patient who's trying to figure out their identity because they've been so entrenched in what everybody else has told them who they are.
Yeah.
And so they're now figuring out what they need and what they want. And so, like, it was interesting. And then they felt like there was a dichotomy between the things they wanted. And I was like, or needed. I'm taking that back. It wasn't wanted, needed. And I said, it's an and.
Mhm.
And that, like, was that key that popped open that gift box, right? Of
Love
like,
that.
oh, I can have both. Like, it was dependable and not expected to do everything.
Those are two huge, powerful ones.
Right. I said, you can be both. Like, you can be dependable and not need to do everything. Like, part of being dependable is not doing everything. Because when you're doing everything, you can't be dependable because you can't do it all.
There you go.
So, we talked about that. And then the last thing is, am I honoring my own needs as much as I expect others to? And the powerful part of that question, I want to repeat that question.
Repeat that.
Am I honoring my own needs as much as I expect others to meet my needs? Here's the powerful part of that question. In every relationship, people will treat you how you expect them to treat you.
How you teach them. Yes.
Right. Exactly. So if you expect them to meet your needs and you are not meeting your own needs, you are not communicating your own needs, then you have no ability to expect them to do it because they don't know what the hell they are. You
Right.
are asking them for the impossible. This goes back to, oh my gosh, one of my absolute fucking hot buttons with couples. He didn't buy me what I wanted for Christmas. Did you tell him?
Right.
Did you tell him? Don't expect him to have an imaginary Christmas list in his head. You need to fucking communicate it. Sorry, friends, you do. This isn't Santa. So you need to know, are you honoring your needs? Are you modeling that your needs matter, first and foremost? Or are you suppressing them and expecting others to take care of them?
And I love that last gift that you just left everyone with, that you have the capability, the capacity, and the choice to teach people how you want to be treated. And you will learn a lot about people, whether they can, whether it's hard, whether it's uncomfortable, whether they're unwilling. But you are the educator and the pivotal platform of teaching other people your expectations and how to be treated. And it has to come from you. Don't give away that opportunity to learn you. I love that gift that you gave everyone. That's a big one. Those are three big ones.
Yeah.
3 gifts to walk away with.
Oof. I feel like this one's like a repeat listen for all of us, probably me too. So, and friends, know that we don't have it perfectly worked out.
Oh no.
Like, we are evolving and learning in our marriages, and I'll be the first to be a strong advocate for marriage counseling. Ethan and I have done it in waves. We're in a wave of it right now, just to help us learn, like have that third person ask us questions to help us grow and learn and evolve. And it is awesome. It is awesome. I love it. So, friends, thank you for gifting yourself this time. And by gifting yourself this time, you're also gifting your partner, which is really cool. And thank you for inviting us to be with you on this journey. We hope that you walk out today feeling peace in evolving and knowing and learning who you are and how you can honor your own relationship needs. If you loved this episode, leave us a positive review. It would mean so much to us. And don't forget to check out our Gifts from the Couch on Mondays. Helene and I alternate every week with sharing a little bit of an extra gift for you because we love you all. And as always, you can find us on Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Pinterest. Until next week, friends, happy birthday.